me.
Episode 345.
You've got to throw some cold water on the situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
Oh, one of these days, we're going to have to open the full theater to you guys and stop with these nonsense title screens and everything else and just let you see all of the silliness that Trent and I do, even doing that intro. So much to the point that he practically cues me on when to drop Aziz Ansari's little sound clip in there. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
And I'm Trent, and I propose that we start a thing it's kind of like Finsta, but it would be like Behindsta. So it's a secret RTSP or RTMP, however you're distributing. That is just a behind the scenes look of raw, unproduced look of what's going on in the video production.
Well, I want
it's got to be a secret. It's got to be a secret.
Yeah, because that like fake Instagram, Finsta, as you put it. So
Exactly.
I'm down with what you're talking about. I understand what you're throwing. Technically speaking, however, Trent, that's the kind of thing that we, if you wanted to be forward thinking or backward thinking at this point,
Sure.
that would have been the video that we were running at the beginning, or an alternative capture of the cams, if you will. Recording
Right.
video on your side. But that's essentially the kind of thing that we always say you can find on our Patreon. So if you are a fan of NetHeads and you want to go ahead and support us, the way we get our studio upgrades and new equipment, or, Trent a new bag of potatoes, we will... by the way, anyway, we do that via our Patreon. We do exclusive content there, and a little later on, you'll see more when we get into what Will's printed this time. So for our 3D printing segment, and I'm doing jazz hands because we don't have jingles, so I'm hoping that really kind of.
But for the jingle, can we get like a DOS matrix printer sound?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's got to be going like.
Yep.
That would be
Yep.
I really wish they went like that. I will tell you though, one of the 3D printers when it's printing sounds really, really weird when you're close, because this thing is moving all around to get the print done, and it's sitting on top of a workbench that I built. So that's one strike against it. So when it really gets going, I sometimes wonder, honestly, wait a second, is that the 3D printer, or am I hearing a street cleaner outside kind of thing?
Right.
Yeah. Ooh. Hey, Kindred Nerds. Hello, guys. New sub. Welcome. Thank you very much. Anyway, we put that kind of stuff on our Patreon, which is where we should have it. And I hope you guys enjoyed seeing me adjust the title there, too. That was really fun. It wouldn't be a typical podcast if there wasn't somebody talking about the tech at the very head of it. So we have done that. Congratulations, Trent. We've got beyond it now.
Yeah, that, and maybe if we wanted to, we could also just say, sorry we've been gone for so long, everybody. We're back, though. Here we are.
I wasn't going to, because I don't... but thank you. Good point. I first of all, anyone that does have a regular podcast that does it, like, still weekly on the reg, dedicated to it no matter what, my hat is off to you, especially given, the state of the podcast market, if you will, where there is just, it's all brand names, folks, and we're just like Will and Trent's ultra thin bagel bites that we're hoping somebody finds at their local bodega, if you will.
And Bagel Bites, if you're listening, acquaintances band The Mean Jeans have a sweet jingle for you guys. They're just waiting for you to take them up on it. It's on their latest album, so Check it out. Mean Gene's Bagel Bites.
There we are. Hey, look at that. Musical recommendation. That's something you usually get from our program. Trent, what I tried to title the wonderful show, Hey Trey Mock, how you doing? I tried to title the show Some Way Home for Spider-Man because, there's been a lot that's been going on in the media world, if you will, since you and I have last spoken, which I think was technically end of January. But again, I'm not making it a point. And at that time...
And especially this week.
What was that now?
And especially the news that happened this week, too.
Well, wait a minute. Well, now I'm dying to know what is the news you're about. This is the great planning we do in advance, guys, of our tech and nerd news. I've got something in mind to talk about. I'm sure Trent does too. We have not shared that thought with one another at all. Go ahead, Trent. I'm dying to know.
It's not news. It's just the Batman.
Oh yeah. This being the Batman's first official week out, or no, it's 2. Is it 2 now? Yeah, because it dropped last Friday,
right? Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned that movie because my daughter's best friend, her friend that she has known since 2nd grade, and they're graduating high school this year. My daughter called and said, "Hey, Kylie's with me. She wants to say hi." Kylie didn't want to say hi. Kylie wanted to know how I had gotten to Saturday night with the audacity to have not seen the Batman yet.
And your excuse was?
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Adulting?
No, literally, I'll get to it. It's one of those ones where, look, somebody came out and said the one statement that makes me always worry the most when it's a comic book movie. And that's when they say it's the most comic book movie of any comic book movie that's ever been out. And I say that because that to me almost sounds like a reason that you are trying to create to justify why you should like the movie, or it literally is, the best comic book movie ever of all time. What are you saying there, Trent?
Well, I have not seen the film yet.
Yes.
My circles are well steeped in comic books and the source material as it is. Everything that I have seen from friends, acquaintances, people I follow, influencers, if you will, in the industry, they've all said they really enjoyed it and then gave their qualification for why they liked it. Like they were qualifying their enjoyment. They weren't just saying it's a really good movie, you should go see it. They're saying it's a good movie. If we look at it in the context between the Tim Burton films and the Christopher Nolan films, we see that yet has anyone just said it's a really good movie, you should go see it. Everyone has said it's a good movie. Here's why. Almost like they're anticipating blowback by having an opinion about it.
So it's nice I'm glad at least from the zeitgeist of it all, you and I are kind of picking up on the same thing. That makes me feel good about
totally, dude. Like when you said that, I was like, yes, that is exactly what I'm seeing from everyone.
Trent, I'm going to go out on a limb. If today is not the day, then we are within, I think, maybe 2 or 3 days striking distance of it. I just made comment about our more than a decade friendship. This may very well be the night. Not 22. I've been married for almost 28 years, but almost 12 years now to the day. It's somewhere between the 12th and the 15th. You first called in to a scrappy little program called Radio Askew and instantly thought, well, this is definitely not Kevin Smith that I'm talking to. That's
Yep.
And under that fraud, our friendship has flourished ever since.
It has. It really has. So, folks, look, when someone throws a phone number out on the internet, don't be afraid. Sure, they might track your phone call, and you'd have to,
Trent,
maybe
that was
change phone
no,
numbers
it was
after
Trent.
a while,
It was a different time. You can't even say that kind of thing now because, suddenly you've just told a person under 15 to go ahead and call their catfish, and it's or heaven forbid, even worse. So no, I haven't seen.
Call their parents.
Yeah, to get back to the point, no, I have not seen the Batman. I haven't gone. Spider-Man No Way Home completely compelled me to throw my fist up against the pandemic and say, no more. And, well, I shouldn't say that. I did with Eternals too. But really, Spider-Man was the bigger risk, in my opinion, audience-wise, for just people being there. That compelled me to get to the theater, and it wasn't even about all the rumors or anything else. It was just the next Spider-Man film, and I had to see it.
Yep.
This particular Batman, I mean, there's never been anything that has compelled me to want to go see this in the advertising I've seen. Outside of the fact that it's another Batman, which is, I can't make a Batman, so if someone's making a Batman for me, I'm going to go see the Batman. But I didn't have to immediately go out to see this. Unlike The Dark Knight, that compelled me. The Dark Knight definitely Returns compelled me to get to the movie theater to see it. To some extent, all the Nolan movies. There's just been nothing that's got me in there. Even though Batman has done the extremely cool thing of it appears turning the gun that killed his parents into the bat on the costume, nothing about this movie compelled me. Nothing.
Well, and it's interesting that just the marketing alone that you bring up, because I'm the content, the advertisements that actually do get to me are few and far between. However, I'm aware of certain films that are coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen a single advertisement for the Batman. Not one. I haven't seen a trailer. I haven't seen anything about it. In fact, I'm just looking at the cast list right here. Oh my God, they cast Paul Dano as the Riddler. That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is stuff that, like, maybe if they tried a little harder and weren't just like banking on the name.
Yeah, I definitely feel they were banking on the name, and I think that they were also kind of banking on trying to make it viral, because there were certain things where if you had a black light or a UV light, you could make out riddles that were in the movie posters in the movie theaters. Great concept if people are in the movie theaters. But you see, you didn't even know about that.
No clue. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just, and it's nothing. And so literally, I haven't seen the movie. I have no judgment on the movie, and I really don't know when I'm going to see it. But it is true. It was adulting, because last weekend, I'm going to say I had the opportunity. There was something to resolve, so I had to make a one-day trip down to Los Angeles, and then made a one-day trip back up. So that's another reason. And then today has been all kinds of unanticipated crazy, because today there was That Kevin Smith Club, aka Ask Kev Anything, and then during that he was nice enough to not only plug this show, but then give me the green light to cut something from it, which I just should have looked at the clock and said, it's 3:00. We're live in 4 hours. The effort I put into creating this media, I'm only going to be putting into it because I want to be able to see the end product. Because, from a marketing standpoint, there is not enough advance notice on the use of these at all.
Right.
Okay.
And that's fine. It's not why you do it.
No, not in this. Well, no, like in a perfect world, if this happened yesterday and then you did this, it's got some legs. This I just did. So all I've done is sit in this room. That's all I've done today. It's been in this room when I'm supposed to be cleaning this room. And then genius idea. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and do a NetHeads at 7:00 on Saturday night. I mean, I don't mind being the lead-in for Saturday Night Live. I'm all for that. If we can usher you into Saturday Night Live, I don't even know if there's a new one tonight. That's great. But otherwise, I was supposed to be cleaning in here, which also involves breaking all this down. And we both know that would just have been stupid at this point.
Right.
So when coming back to the Batman, are you just gonna get to it when you get to it, or
yeah,
vidya?
I mean, I have yet to go to the theaters. Post, I post epidemic, of which we're still in, especially in Utah. But we just don't. We actually stopped counting numbers now. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The governor said, no, we're done. We're not. They can't hurt us if you don't count it.
There you go. That was the logic that one of our recent presidents had stated. Basically, you wouldn't have as many positives if you didn't keep testing. Well, there you go.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So if you don't count it, it don't matter. I don't know, man.
Yep.
I mean,
but
I'm in my area. They're basically lifting all of the mask mandates. The kids go back to school sans masks. It's their choice now.
Yeah. In Utah, you can't even. It's a law. You can't ask someone if they've been vaccinated or not.
That's helpful. That'll work.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a lot of great laws going in right now, don't we?
Because big government, we don't want them telling us what to do unless we do. I'm
picking up a little Utah angst, Trent. I'm
It's
picking
just-
up a little blue feelings in a red area, if you will.
It is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs here, man. It is just a bizarre. Well, I don't want big government unless it's enforcing things I want other people to do. But I haven't been to theater since this whole shit show started 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, what fears me the most, caloric intake, Will, because I cannot go to the theater without
Okay.
going balls deep into a bucket of popcorn, man.
First of all, if I may just point out, interesting phrasing, because if you're going balls deep in popcorn, what kind of theater are you in? And I'm still pretty sure you're doing it wrong, pal.
But hey, Fred Willard and I went to the same theater occasionally. Don't worry about it.
All right, I'll forget about it. So the I understand that completely. And for those that don't know, if you don't follow Trent, are you a part of him on the Instagrams as well?
I am. Yep, I am.
I was sitting in my family room, innocently opening my phone, and I opened up Instagram, and then what I saw was a man who was complimenting, I'm assuming, a type of clothier operation about making clothes that make people look good, right?
It was a barbershop.
Very good. So you were talking,
barbershop.
okay, so you were talking about your cut and your groom. You looked
Yep.
really sharp. But I
Thank you.
looked at that and I thought, should I title the next episode Half the Man He Used to Be?
Mhm.
Because good golly, sir, in that picture, you
Yeah.
are quite svelte, if you will.
Yeah, well, I mean, black is always slimming.
Yeah.
So there's that. In the past couple of years of video production, I've learned how to light things properly, which doesn't hurt at all. Will
Mhm.
camera angles as well. If you are ever doing a selfie, folks, go ahead and put that timer on, because that really allows your camera to get its autofocus in right. So just a few tricks here and there. It's all just cameraman.
Bullshit. If I may just call it out so straight. I mean, now, honestly speaking, is this because you're mostly spudding it up? Is that what it is? Are you still on?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yes, and I'm just really aware of what I eat now, and I'm aware of how food affects me as far as if I eat like 3 candy bars this week, I'm gonna be a different person.
You know what really sucks when you say things
Which
like
is
that?
disordered eating, I know, but whatever.
By the way, hello, Mr. Marvelite, watching as well. Mr. Marvelite probably is looking at the situation now, going, "Wow, I guess Will has a type," because that's a guy who I've also asked to sit in on NetHeads in between our usual get-togethers, our monthly sessions, if you will. I totally understand about the movie experience going, and I totally understand about being aware what you're eating. I somehow, though, in the past, I think 2 weeks. I remember what it was. It was Girl Scout season, and I avoided those suckers like the plague. But one of my nephews, I think, had a charity thing at their school, and it was candied popcorn. So different flavorings. One of them was cinnamon toast.
Oh,
Yeah, right. Another one was called Rainbow Unicorn, and that one it tasted like crunch berries from Captain Crunch. Then of course there was kettle corn. There
which
was
is just a favorite for everyone. It's the classic sweet and savory.
there was also the cheese covered popcorn. So long story short, I went off the rails. But so that week I had those things, the sugar, and within a few days my right knee starts hurting. I kid you not. my right knee starts hurting. And then after I get a week away from that candied crap, my knee is back to normal.
Dude,
So apparently sugar is poison, at least to me. I
Well,
have no
and
happiness in
here's the
life.
even if that is just psychosomatic, that doesn't make it any less real,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? Like even if it is all in your
Wait,
head,
hold
it's
on.
still,
Now you're
it's still
now you're telling me it's all in my head? You're
No,
like,
I'm
you know,
saying
Will, I
even if-
think the sugar doesn't agree with you and hurts you because you think it hurts you.
that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is even if it was brought on by coincidence or correlation rather than causation, being aware of it though
Mhm.
is a good thing, right? Like because then you can use the scientific method to test it out another time if you want to, or don't, and see if you see the results from that as well.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But please check out part of him on Instagram because, geez, Louise. I'm not sitting here going, wow. I wasn't like, oh, muy fuego. No, I wasn't like, but I was just like, good golly. Because I too, I look back at pictures from 2020 right now, the latter part of 2020. And I'm like, look at that guy. Because I don't know what happened. I think over the holidays I went off the rails and now I've just been kind of bippity boppity booping through everything. It's no fun. But hey, Trent, did you ever see Spider-Man No Way Home?
I haven't yet.
Well, have I got some news for you. They always tell us people doing bad things don't benefit anybody, right? And you do bad things, and that's the reason why we can't have good things. Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home was supposed to be in digital stores on March 22nd. However, there was a leak of a 1080p HD quality copy in 5.1 Dolby surround sound stereo leaked onto the internet. And Sony, without flinching, looked and said, we'll release it on the 15th now.
Really?
Yes. So
and that one guy, the one documented case of someone going to jail for pirating and distributing Wolverine back in 2006 is so pissed off right now.
he is sitting there with a racquetball and just tunk off the floor, off the wall into his hands. Tunk. That's all he's doing. Just irate and just so pissed off. You're right.
Okay, so Sony, right? Like, I feel like they might be one of the only, and maybe they have it, I'm just not aware. Like, they don't have a streaming service though, right? Like if they were to put it out on like a platform or whatever, would they use HBO? Who would they use for distribution?
They've got a contract. I believe Sony has a contract with Starz, and that's the reason why its first regular streaming home is going to be on Starz, I believe.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of been their angle and their point. I'm still surprised we haven't seen, and I'm guessing it's because of the pandemic, because I believe if we had not had the pandemic by now, Marvel would have at least bought the characters out that Sony has. I think if they had more of that money to play with, they would have just bought it out.
And I wonder if it's a case of just Sony, like, holding Marvel right there by the genitals and just squeezing as tight as possible and being like, nope, not enough. Nope, need more. You want these back? You got to pay more.
That's a good point. They are in the worst negotiating position possible.
They totally like. I mean, for what it's worth, they were essentially gifted the deal from Fox, and in Iger's book, he talks about that a little bit too. How it was just kind of happenstance that they were able to make that purchase, but yeah, I don't see Sony parting with the Spider-Man properties anytime soon because they're able to benefit now from by shaking hands, right, with Disney. Now they get all that same push without having to take any of the chance at it all. It's bound to be a hit.
What Sony should be doing instead of trying to do any of their Spider-Verse stuff. Well, actually, that's not true because Into the Spider-Verse, my opinion, one of the best damn movies I've ever seen in relation to a Spider-Man movie.
Award-winning. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an amazing film. So I'm not gonna begrudge them their efforts. But when it comes to the MCU movies proper, heck, any film, it's just like they should be just dictating terms. They're like, hey, Marvel, we want a Venom movie. Just be the mobsters you could right now,
Right?
and
Totally.
just say, yeah, go ahead. You want to make more Spider-Man films with that Holland kid? That's fine. We're gonna need 3 more, and you're not gonna like the Vig. I'm just saying. Go fully in.
Dude, lean into it.
They could be printing money and you could be taking none of the risk and doing none of the work.
Yep,
So let
exactly.
that deal go on. The only thing that really upsets me at all in any of this Sony Marvel stuff is just the fact that poor Spider-Man doesn't get to be on the Marvel logo unless it's a Spider-Man a film he's appearing in.
Right.
Which means he didn't even get the benefits of being on the one for Avengers Endgame because they literally moved all the dusted heroes off of that opening sequence.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true. And it's something else that I just thought of, like, not to mention, there's all the movie stuff that they're just banking in on with and they put out a quality flick. I'm not saying that they don't. Sony. I like the Sony. But by God, they've really got the gaming world by the balls too. In that, you want to play this new Spider-Man game that everyone's freaking out about? Better on the PlayStation.
I don't even get me started on the PlayStation. I think there was a TikTok I saw this week that summed it up at best, and they're like, "Look, I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think PS5s actually exist. I think it's an elaborate hoax being performed by Sony, and some of you are in on it." I mean, we are 2 years after that thing's release, and you still can't find one.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I know, man.
Anyway, yeah, Sony, they're sitting real pretty, and I don't care as long as I mean, I love this news. It's like, oh, great. So now Spider-Man No Way Home will be in my house much, much sooner, which is my favorite place, literally, to watch movies.
Same,
like,
man.
right now, I almost feel like it's sacrilege. I don't know if I'm going to rush out. Yeah, I am. Never mind. I'm going to rush out and probably still see Doctor Strange 2 in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, dude, like of all the I feel like it has the chance of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the one property that has the chance to just be really weird and different and not fall into kind of the same hero's journey that for good reason they always go to, but they could really do something interesting and weird. And they did a little bit of that with the first one, but I think they could do more, even push it farther.
Well, I think when you see Spider-Man No Way Home, finally, the one key, and this isn't really much of a spoiler, but really there's a lesson in humility for Strange in Spider-Man No Way Home that I think is important for the character's development, because in the first movie, we really didn't see him develop at all. He went from being an egotistical asshole who thinks he's the best because he's the world's best surgeon. And then once he couldn't do that, he lashed out at everyone until he found out, oh, there is something else that I could be really good at, something that gives me even more godlike abilities than being a life-saving surgeon. And, the closest we got is, okay, well, he was willing to stick in a time loop for eternity, or he just like, this is going to be miserable, but there's only so many rotations and then it's got to end. Either way, not strong character growth. But the other thing I want to remind you about this movie, and this is the reason why I might be compelled to go, is that I remember in Hall H 2019, Feige described this at Marvel's first venture into the horror genre.
Yes.
Now, and remember, they then switched directors, and I think there was somebody else, and then they switched. I could be wrong. But then you announced Sam Raimi directing, Mr. What was the name of the ones with Bruce Campbell? Evil Dead.
Yeah.
The creator of the Evil Dead world. Yeah. And everything
who gave us the first 2 Spider-Mans.
Yeah, that too. It's like this seems like a match made in heaven. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go. And they already teased us in the trailers that they tied it back to WandaVision because he goes to see her and she's all like, "Look, about Westview," and he's like, "Westview, I'm cracking the universe," kind of thing. So
Yeah.
they got, there's a lot there. And plus, I'm very interested to see what they're continuing to do with Wanda now that she is officially the Scarlet Witch, because of that same 20th Century Fox deal you mentioned.
Exactly. Yep.
Derrickson was the original director. Raimi was the perfect replacement, Mr. Marvelite is sharing with us. So thank you for that, sir. Greatly appreciate the info, him tagging in on that. So do you think you will venture out for that, or just adulting and you're going to have to wait again?
What's the slated drop date for the box office?
I can just tell you it's sometime in May, man. That's the closest I can get for you.
Ooh, I don't know. May's a really busy month for me, but we'll see what happens. It's commencement season, and we've got to go around as like the state university. We have campuses everywhere, so I'm going to be doing a lot of commencement ceremony broadcasts.
A lot of vidya to be done this time of year, my friend.
A lot of, and everyone just expects to have it streamed to them now, and no one's going to go in person. So
it's you, cameras, the talker, and an empty room.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just like doing NetHeads.
Yes. The fun thing. So I don't know if you know this about Sam Raimi. In every feature that he directs, he always makes sure to put a cameo from a 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88.
Yes.
It's the car that old Ben drives, right? In the first Spider-Man.
Yes.
And it's the car that he lost his virginity in.
Did not need to know that.
Yeah. So that little Easter egg we can look forward to in Doctor Strange 2 is how he's going to work that in.
Mr. Marvelite chiming in May 5th, which I suspected it was, because I know May 25th is when Obi-Wan Kenobi drops on Disney Plus. Oh my God, did you see the trailer for that?
See, that's what I'm saying. Haven't seen a trailer at all. Didn't even know that the Batman was coming out until it released, right? And then I'm well aware of Obi-Wan well in advance. It's like, come on, someone's doing this right.
I think the one thing I've got to do going into Obi-Wan Kenobi when it starts, and I look forward to talking with you about it after it's done. But I think the one thing I've just got to do is like take that whole concept of time in the Star Wars universe and, and continuity and get rid of it. Because like, in A New Hope, wasn't Luke like 16 to 18?
Yep.
And we see in the trailer Kenobi looking at him through the little binocs there. And that's a kid that's like 7 to 10. So we're only 10 years away. So, and of course, the biggest problem for me is bridging that gap from Ewan McGregor, who even as they're trying to age up, still looks as though he has been cut from God's own wood.
Dude doesn't age.
What happens in that desert for 5 years that is going to turn his shit gray? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and not even like a Brazer's Unlimited account subscription would do that to a man.
Not even. Kindred Nerds says the exact same thing I felt and had happen watching that trailer, saying the Duel of Fates music that came in that trailer made my hair stand up, which it did.
Dude, when I honestly cannot, like, because Williams is getting old in his time, and granted, I'm sure he has many understudies that can carry on his work. But man, that guy is just, there's something about a John Williams piece when you hear it, it just connects at the root of humanity that you just tethers you to raw emotion. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, and that is one of the most powerful pieces that I think cinematically, because it is truly as epic as the moments that it has been ascribed to. So
I mean, it's the best thing that came out of the prequels.
Thank you very much. Yes, I feel the exact same damn way.
Yeah.
And all I know is like after sitting through the book of Boba Fett, it still just solidifies my opinion. You're making a Star War. I'm gonna watch a Star War. It's just gonna. I mean, I haven't been able to get away from it yet. The only thing I neglected on were Clone Wars and Rebels. And now I can sometime when I'm laid up recovering from something, I'll get plenty of that.
Exactly. Like shame on all of us that were watching them week to week. when now we have the option to actually watch it and enjoy it.
Arm hair, Mr. Marvelite. He's like, what hair stood up on it? Yeah, it was my arm hair. I would have said I got goosebumps, because then you're instantly like, oh, which I did. Yeah. I don't care. Just go ahead and bring it. I'm going to enjoy it. And the only thing I will say, if I ever do get laid up and that's the time I finish off Clone Wars and Rebels, I got to be very careful, because to this day, I had made the mistake of binging and introducing myself to Superstore while I was having stomach issues. So every time that intro played, instantly I would feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
So I'll look out for that. But I'm glad to hear that you are as hyper aware as I would hope you would be about that coming out and coming up. And
sure.
I actually, you know what? We haven't talked since the big game Super Bowl or anything, right? Or no, we may have. Because I know last time we talked about the Moon Knight trailer, didn't we? Or did we just talk about Moon Knight itself?
I think we did. I think they had done a teaser, but they hadn't done the trailer yet. And we just talked about how, like, it's just been an ill-defined character throughout its entire life.
Yeah, it's very confusing, except, when you get into, well, they did drop a trailer. It looks really great. But the only thing, again, in 2019 in Hall H, Feige even said that one of the ideas within the show, as well as, is this a guy that really has been granted abilities from Khonshu, or is he just a frickin' nut job?
Right.
And so when we see things in this trailer, like him just wailing on a werewolf, I have that programmed in the back of my mind, and I'm like, is it really a werewolf, or is it just some poor guy in a suit that has now just been beat down in a bathroom?
Or is he just taking the Batman approach and beating up the mentally ill?
Exactly. I never thought of it that way, but they were asking for it, Trent, and that's the simple truth of it.
Yeah, sure.
You ready to move on to the things that I've printed this week?
Wah, 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 wah. That was the worst dot matrix that's ever been. I'm sorry.
Mr. Marvelite saying it's definitely a werewolf and it's glorious. But again, if the main character is nuts and everything we're seeing is through... Anyway. Yeah. So, Trent, I alluded to this one the last time because I've been having fun with 3D printing. Some of it has been practical, but oh my goodness, some of it definitely not. And our Patreon subscribers are already well aware of this stuff because I showed it to them yesterday in a video. But so one of them is the most practical, and we talked about this. It's an all-in-one piece print that attaches to the vent of your large, big warehouse style jug of laundry detergent. And you just put the cup on here and it drains down and in. It's even angled on the inside. It is the most practical and most genius thing ever. I printed one wrong one. This may work on a Tide container, doesn't work on the Kirkland detergent. But the benefit of that failure or mistake is that I had an example to show you. Because it...
Yeah.
And it always...
So it wouldn't fit out of thread size or out of diameter on the spout.
In this case, it was both.
Ah.
So I respect your inquiry. You took it at both points of physical failure, which it also had. So very good.
Okay.
But still, one of the most incredible things to me is that this all printed in place. So at one point, at the end of the print job, you just have to grip it and crank it, and you hear something snap, and then it just becomes...
And then it spins.
Yeah, and then it's on there.
So that's what was holding it on for the print, but there's enough space for it to suck up into the threads itself.
Well, it kind of printed around it, and it had a really thin gap that was barely bridged together, and so then I just turn it and it snaps. And the way the mouth adjusts, it also is slightly larger, so it still also locks it in.
Yep.
Doesn't go anywhere. Yep. It's show and tell, everybody, with Will. That's what we should really call this. So, Trent, as you also know, and as I have mentioned, we've referred to them as the I should cut to me. We refer to them as the challenge coins. We've also referred to them now as our poker chips because that's exactly how they sound, and I'm now throwing them everywhere. But, you know, while I've been working through some issues, I've been going a little hog wild, getting things ready to make sure every patron supporter gets one of these. I also have been completely afraid and still not yet had the balls to mix the mold on the 2022 coin and finally make some pewter ones, but I'll get there. But one of the things that happens, Trent, when you're on the 3D printing social media, and especially on TikTok, what you start to see in the trends there are people that find something that's cool to print. And then eventually they transition to, okay, now that it's cool to print, let's make a ridiculous sized version of it. Okay?
Sure. So whether it be mini or macro, right?
Exactly, Trent. It's one of those things. I think what was Ian's last name in Jurassic Park? Jeff Goldblum's character. But he says the perfect line. You were so excited that you could. You never asked if you should.
If you should.
Which is exactly what I delved into because I'm always trying to show the coins on camera and I'm balancing against the light and I'm trying to work out the detail. And then I said, well, wait a second. I could actually because it's pennies on the dollar to make things. And I'm like, well, wait a second. I could just print one big resin version of the coin. So that way I can get on camera and really show that detail. I mean, look at the Death Ray Comics laser that the Vector is holding, and the laser is pointing at Trent, and Vector's taking an electronic dump on Will. I mean, you see great detail, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that worked really well. And you know, these things aren't practical on a filament printer because when you're like the only practical way without a lot of supports and a lot of waste would be flat. But then you've got one side that has details and, you know, that's going to be an engineering nightmare to have the right and non-present supports and the like. So I'm like, so I really can't do that on one of my not even larger bed, standard bed 3D filament printers. But then I said, but you know what? I could cut the print job vertically in half and print two halves and bond them together.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, let's say I did that. So now I've got something printing roughly the size of a Frisbee.
Oh, shit.
And then, partway through the print job, you're like, oh, I forgot to weigh the filament. I'm not going to have enough, but I'm printing in black, and I've still got some of that gold from the Gramazon.
Yes.
And you end up printing this. Again.
Well, is there a chance? Are you sure you didn't recover that after busting the plunderer and you're just going to roll it back into your bat cave now as a memento?
I'll just put it up there. It is the shiniest, prettiest thing I've ever printed. And you can, I didn't do a very good job like melding them together, but also like literally all I did is I hot swapped filament after I got to a certain height, knowing, okay, everything from this point is solid.
Out now.
And that's why the brain really pops. Now, Trent, the part we haven't discussed about this either, I realized something else, which may be one of the most brilliant and dumbest ideas I've ever had. Okay? Because when I first brought this up and I showed it to you, what does it, I mean, like just general impression. I could get the answer I'm looking for, I could not, but what does it look like to you?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Okay, crap. But what's the general impression of the type of object it is?
Yeah. So if we're doing like the response test real fast off, just like a microchip, like.
Okay, because you're seeing the brain. My instant thought is like, good golly, if that had a decent base with a plaque space, that could look like some type of silly award.
Oh my God! Now all I can see is like a film reel awards.
That was Denise's idea on it too. But now, so I'm like, well, wait a second. With that, I could do this. And now I've entered into one of the most dangerous thoughts I've ever had, Trent. I want to know your reaction to this because you may be the litmus test. This may be the Rubicon, okay?
Yeah.
It might be. I was thinking I could make a whole bunch of these with the base and the plaque And then we just start sending out stupid awards at random and see who actually brags about them.
Yep, I think it's a brilliant idea. I am 100% behind this. I think, and it could be for, I gave an award the other day in my review of the film Nobody as most creative use of a Claymore mine. We can come up with a category that is so specific to one person for one thing that I think it's a great idea. And especially, if any Patreon listeners, that might just be something that right up a reward alley.
There we are. Yeah, that's definitely. And Mr. Marvel, I'd also bring it up. The other thing is you need to put that on your wall, which I was thinking before I bonded them. Maybe I should just leave them on either side, and I should have just framed them instead. But but then I wouldn't have the ability to have something huge and ridiculous to flip to make decisions, right? It's like,
oh shit, yes. Please, from now on, that's how all decisions with the kids, like if they can go out and play or not, well, flip the coin.
Call it in the air, kids. Also, please maintain a 9-foot radius around the dad at all times. That is the safety barrier. Please do not, because this will take an eye out. I don't know. Because I would love to just see people saying, "Oh my gosh, so honored to have received the NetHeads 2022 award for best documentary about a film documentary or something."
I mean, and then we've got to cut honestly, it's all about coming up with a clever nickname for it, right? Like the Academy has the Oscars, so is it like the Hetty?
Yeah,
or the, that's it's the nickname that is the seller, and I don't know, I kind of like giving people a Hetty.
I mean, but what are we going to name the award?
Oh, hey!
Thank you, everybody. Good night. You did bring up a really good point, though, too, that some of these ridiculously sized versions would be good, just random awards to our Patreon subscribers as well.
Totally.
But yeah, I think this style one is the one that I may put up on the wall. The only problem is it's why are you doing the other side? So give yourself one good large one that's one-sided to hang up on the wall without the year, and that'd look nice.
Yeah.
As well. So that's what I've... These
display the spins.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, but you need space for those.
Yeah, that's true. True. It's long time printer in my own home, Will Kent. He's the goalie coach for the local hockey team, for the high school hockey team, and so at their end of year, whatever it was, he printed out and made specific trophies for the goalies that he gave them, and he created a man shark with big arms and a hockey stick, a bunch of random stuff that he just put on top of a trophy.
Very nice. See, that's why 3D. And the other thing I said that's fun about 3D printing is it really gives you the feeling like you're accomplishing something while you're doing other things.
Yep.
So,
totally.
It gives you that but I'm making, and then my family's like, but why did you need this? Look at the size. I don't, but I could, so I did.
But exactly. Ian Malcolm be damned.
Thank you for looking up the name. I appreciate that. Or unless it came back to you, because it certainly.
No, I had to look it up, and then I was like, oh yeah, I actually knew his last name, but I never knew his first name, because they refer to him as Malcolm all the time in it.
Oh yeah. They never really nobody really calls him Ian, do they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have a very salient point there, sir. Very good. Very good. So those are the things that I have printed since we last talked, and. Now it's just what's the next thing? Because I have been miffed and baffled by trying to print out my own version of that acoustic amplifier for your phone and the shower. I cannot get that thing to print no matter what I do, no matter what filament I use. I don't know why. Yeah. Well, I'm always...
And it's a tricky one, though, too, because it's got all sides are covered, and then it's looping around too. So I would assume it has a big tendency to drip.
Well, it has two halves that you have to join together too. So you're always printing the two sides, and Like I tried one version, the original, and then I tried another one where somebody's like, I optimized the required amount of filament and everybody else is printing just fine with it and I can't get it to go. But that's the thing about me is that I'm just one of those casual people. I find something, oh, well, that worked. I can make that now and I'll move on. It's like, okay, well, that's not working. What's next? Gotta go. And so I won't get fully committed to it, and I'm not going to spend the time to troubleshoot. It's like, okay, well, it's not going to work. I'm going to find some. I'm going to print up more cable clips, and I'll just keep going.
Oh, speaking of cable clips, at work, we have, and I don't know where they came from. They predate my tenure at the job I have, but we have a few of these. What they look like are two ends of a golf tee that are actually stuck together like this, right? So it's like two golf tee heads. So it's just kind of like an hourglass type shape, right? That's all one solid chunk. And then you take a rubber band and you loop it through, and then that way you can use it for like winding up any cables or whatever. You just put the rubber band around and it hooks onto itself, right? It has enough. It's wide enough to hold the rubber band in place. I handed one to my roommate and he printed off a bunch for me. And so now I've got unlimited like cable clips essentially, but they're rubber band based, which for me is great because then they will actually stick and hold to the tripod as I'm like putting cables up a tripod. Put it in there, the rubber band keeps it grippy. Because sometimes if you're using like the Velcro ones on something slick, they'll start to slide after a while. They start drooping with weight. So, another cable management tool right there. Next time we're on, I'll have one to show you. They're pretty cool.
There you go. Or you'll forget, and I'll forget you were going to say that. So let's show that. So it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Anything else going on in your world, man? I don't really have a lot to share here. The only thing I will say, too, because one of the things that has kept our relationship going through the years has been our mutual challenges and adoration of eyewear. And here in the office, part of the reason why I need to rewire is because it's a freaking mess and it's a nightmare, as my wife looks at it, and she likes to call it the fire hazard. So naturally... But I did get 4 articulating arms for my monitors for the sole purpose of being able to better align them because I just couldn't do that. Also, so I could move them more in range from the poles that I was using before because the optometrist prescribed me, Trent, computer glasses. Now, computer glasses sounded great the entire time, all the way through picking and like, okay, paying. And then 2 weeks later, I go in for my fitting. I get my glasses. I put them on. And then I talk about, and I really love these frames, and maybe I want to get my regular prescription in them. And the woman said, okay, great. Can I see the readers real quick? They're reading glasses, Trent. They're magnified reading glasses, and they pulled a fast one on me.
Wait. So when I hear computer glasses, right, I'm thinking, oh, so they're the with the blue filter. To keep your eyes from being damaged by the blue light as much on computer screens. No, they just gave you cheaters.
Yes. Where my cheaters at? And I knew this was the case too, because after a day of working and everything looks fine, and then I switch back to my glasses, even if I were to not be wearing my glasses, if I look at my phone, that little bastard's harder to read now, unless I've got these. Now, I'm not telling you this story because I want to out myself as being older and getting tired eyes, or because I need readers. I just found it a funny anecdote that they lied to me in the readers.
That's hilarious.
Or cheaters, as you call them. But the best part, because this has always been a challenge for me, not you so much. You're not like me. You've got like a regular-sized head, pretty much. Even more so now that you've lost weight.
But weirdly shaped.
Fair enough. Me, on the other hand... I mean, I've been called, since I've been wearing glasses, I've been called Benson Honeydew. I've been called Fisk. You know, I've been getting.
I see that as a badge of honor, my friend.
Very good. So I've gotten all these things, because I've got a big round head, and it's huge, by the way. This melon, I would hope I would have a lot more money because of the brilliance that the size of this head supposedly should give me. But you're going to love this. The name of the best frames I have had in a decade, since you have known me practically, are these frames. They are lightweight. They go on easy. They feel good. They're wide enough for this gravity generating orb on my neck. But the brand name is the best part, Trent. Now it ends, I'm just going to tease it, and I'm going to say it ends with a Z. Okay. So when I say the name, know that it's hip and cool, because the S is a Z.
Yeah.
The name of the frames, Fatheads. Literally a brand where somebody... And I swear to God, when the tech was, or the optometrist was walking me around, and she said, you know, you might really like these, and handed them to me without a bit of irony. But it is a cool story. It's a company of two guys who had big heads, and they just couldn't find glasses for them. So, you know, they were like, well, let's make frames that will fit our heads.
That's really funny, because isn't that the same, and I think it's spelled with a Z too, the company that will like create oversized vinyls for your kids' walls, so they'll like get the Fatheads John Cena to go on your wall.
Yeah, I think so. But this is Fatheads Eyewear, I think, is the way they get away from it.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I'm thinking. Oh, maybe I mean, it's vinyl, it's plastic. Maybe it's a conglomerate, and so it's not necessarily tied to size, and they have small ones. No, it's not. It's two guys with big heads.
And that's even probably just the backstory, because I think there are only like 3 companies in the world that actually own and manufacture frames, and it's like
yes, and it's a huge racket too. Like yeah, I mean there's plenty of, like, Vox has done a really good mini doc on it, worth checking out. But you're right, and it's weird too, because like since there's like 3 manufacturers, you basically have like 4 different sizes globally for glasses, and that's it, man. Like there are like sometimes you can have like the option for like a little bit wider space, and that's about it for all glasses. Otherwise they're all about exactly the same.
Yeah, but these were wide enough, long enough arms, decent shape. So much like really I am probably going, because these are my regular ones, but and the way they fit too has been great, because I don't know what's happened to my regular glasses, other than the fact to say I have a 7-year-old, because, you know, like the other day I was sitting there and, you know, they were fitting pretty good, and I was happy. I think I just done an adjustment personally, not, you know, professionally. And, you know, my kid's just playing, and next thing I know, a large rubber ball just smacks me right in the face. And instantly I know, because they're on my face now, like something like this.
Yep.
I just know the fit is not going to be good anymore. And sure enough, like literally my glasses have been giving me headaches, but I just love, without a bit of irony here, these, you might like these. And and then I'm like, oh my gosh, these feel great. I mean, when I wear them during work, I don't get the indentations from nose pads, because it's just got it's an amazing world. I want these. Oh yeah, let me check out the brand name. Mother, you know, just I can't catch a break. Why do I have to be known as the big head guy? You know, just why? Oh, look at that. Is that is there water in there, or is that coffee?
Oh, it's coffee. Yeah.
Just getting pumped up for the rest of the night?
Yeah, I mean,
are you at the point, because really I'm kind of at this point too, where I can now get tired enough where it does not matter if I drink coffee at what time. It doesn't.
Yep. When I fall asleep, my body is ready to sleep, regardless of any stimulant that might be inside of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's good. See, you just, because I'm the same way. I think the only thing that might happen is it might be slightly restless sleep, maybe just a little bit. But other than that, I always harken back to the story when my wife and I were dating, and I'm like, oh, let's go over to this place. They got really good coffee. And then I decided, okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna get a latte with some shots, and I think I either ordered 6 or 8 shots in it. It might have been 8. I might have been like, you know, nobody sane would do this, and I'm gonna do a bit in front of my gal, and I drank that, and literally within an hour I was asleep, with my head in her lap, not like that, just out.
That's insane, man. Like
I know.
Clinically, I know that like anything over like 500 milligrams can like start to create shake, like people to shake.
9. No, nothing. Nothing. And I was technically speaking, when I was 18, that was 1989. So, I mean, that was a little bit ahead and advanced in the, I'm going to have an espresso kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Wasn't widely
I tell you
known.
what, though, man, my boss, he's in a different building, and it's a new tech building, like for like university tech, and the director there is a big coffee guy, right? And so all the break rooms over there now got full on Breville barista setup. Oh my god, dude!
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing in the world.
I've had the Breville Barista Express for the last 2 years, I think. September of 2019 is when I got it, and I know that. And since then, I've just been making my own coffee. And it's great because it is an all-in-one unit, but I think the thing you have to realize, if you really appreciate coffee, is that it's not really an espresso machine. It's more like an espresso appliance, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Yeah.
So you can take mitigating steps to still make it some of the better coffee that you've had. If you get like one of those complex straining mesh screens to go on top of your shot in the carriage holder or whatever it's called, that'll help. You can get something that sifts your grounds or distributes your grounds. So that way you're potentially getting the best cup you can, but those machines are still technically appliance. That being said, I rarely, if never, get any type of coffee from a store. I brew it all here.
Yeah.
And for years now, I've never had the best coffee of my life until these last 2 years. So I'm glad. So they're all getting them, and you're able to cash in on the
I now look for excuses to have meetings with my boss. Yeah.
Very good. That's exactly.
Yeah.
He
Absolutely.
Your boss hasn't even just said, look, you don't have to schedule a meeting. Just go ahead and make the coffee.
Hey, Mondays, huh? Yeah, how about that weather?
And at that point, they're just like, over there, just go.
Yep.
It's fantastic. Don't get me started on coffee. That's an entirely different show, Trent. An entirely different show. I forgot to run the ad in the middle of the program. Oh, well, at least we had a good time, right?
I did.
Duke Cannon Supply Company. It's great soap. Go check it out. Done. That's not really a 30-minute or 30-second ad, though, is it?
30-second, but I mean, it's Duke Cannon, and like you got bits that need washing, and they got the washing for them bits.
Actually,
Duke Cannon.
Do you know what they have that is a really cool product? Now that I think about it, now that I apply it in my mind, actually, they have what they call thick body wash, and so instead of like, if you get like any type of Axe or whatever, it's just like the same. It has the consistency of like detergent you would get for washing the dishes, right? Yeah,
it's, or like hand soap, even like
right.
Like, yeah.
Now this one on the other hand, the thick stuff, it really does. It comes out thick. It's almost gelatin-like in a way. So that way then you get it there, and you're not having any that's falling off your hands into the shower. You're not having to require a loofah or a shower flower or shower dandelion or whatever the hell you call them.
Which are just bacteria breeding, like, hives is all they are,
scientifically speaking. So this stuff is great, and you don't lose it, and it goes everywhere you need it to. So the thick lines are great, and I'm glad because Denise sent me one of their latest products, which was limited edition for the season, where they had their shamrock scent, which they said is very familiar to a common other limited edition product this time of year.
Shut up, dude.
And the only thing available was the thick version. So I bought 3 bottles because I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it. And I'm going to.
Yes. Hell yes, dude. There really is, though. Like, I when you find that, like, that thing that just, like, works in the shower and, like, helps wake you up or whatever, like, it becomes part of your, like, your ritual, right? Part of your everyday. Like, get something that you something that makes you feel good.
Yep, exactly. And I'll tell you what, if you are one of the NetHeads listeners, and you actually use our link in order to buy yourself some Duke Cannon Supply Company soap, I think the link is at netheadsonair.com. If it isn't, it will be after you listen to this. Then you will also be put in line to potentially win. If you've been waiting for an excuse for this kind of thing, or you're like, I would like a nice beard trimmer and I can use this for that, you will be put in line for a giveaway we'll do in like 2 or 3 months' time, where you could win Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0 Deluxe Wireless Trimmer. And this thing is great. It's got it's got all the attachments for varying lengths. You can also take the attachments off and you can use it to trim your mustache or your beard or what have you. I mean, I don't know. Or you can use it for that. But best of all, Trent, not only does it have all these amazing features, it's waterproof and the like, but it also has an LED light to make sure you can see where you're trimming.
Dude, I'll because if you don't, like, sometimes you can't see, and a little piece of some very sensitive skin might get in the way of what's being cut, and you don't want that.
Exactly. And I'll tell
I'm
you,
not saying from experience, but
I'm also not saying from experience. This is one of the best sets of trimmers that a man or person could just utilize. But if you do get Duke Cannon Supply Company, all you got to do is email your receipt without your credit card number or address in it to netheadsonair@gmail.com, and you'll be put in the raffle. Make sure you include your shipping address to win a lawnmower, unused, by the way, new in box.
Yeah, it's a refurb, a NetHeads special refurb.
It's been previously loved. Is that one of the weird?
It's been previously tested. Passes all of our the company qualifications.
It might smell like butt, but here it is. No, new inbox. So you can get that trimmer. But I mean, there was even a meme going around that I remember, like, well, when all the kids 10 years from now realized they were getting their quarantine haircuts from their dad nut trimmers. So, it's just, anyway, Duke Cannon Supply Company, link over at netheadsonair.com. Love the products. So much so, actually, and this is where I'm a bad parent, Trent. I'm a bad parent. And not only is this office a mess, but over on a table that I built that I don't need anymore, I need to get out of here, there is a Christmas gift bag still on that table, Trent. And in that Christmas gift bag are 6 individually wrapped boxes of the Duke Cannon Supply Company Lump of Coal soap, which is also one that I really enjoy. It's what I use to lather up this head before I shave it every morning, because I find
it sold out too, didn't it? From Duke Cannon.
It always sells out every season because it too is like a limited edition one. So honestly speaking, I had bought 3 bars, and then my wife, not knowing I had bought 3 bars, bought 3 bars. So I'm like, well, let's individually wrap them. And then the idea, I kid you not, was to have them individually wrapped, so that way on TikTok, I could record a TikTok of me just opening these things, and each one of them is essentially a lump of coal for Christmas. And Emily, while very exhausted, took the time to painstakingly wrap each individual bar. Now, I'd like to remind you, today is March 12th, and I've already mentioned there is a bag on a table over on the desk, Trent. I'm a bad dad. So much so that somehow... Yeah, go ahead.
In just a couple of days, you've got a birthday coming up.
I'm going to hide that bag now. I'm going to hide that bag. Hey, Emily, could you do me a favor? Could you unwrap those things and then wrap them all in a birthday print? Even though getting a lump of coal on your birthday contextually makes absolutely no sense.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
We're just going to, for Christmas, but that could be the bit. For Christmas, my daughter gave me my Christmas gift, or for my birthday, she gave me my Christmas gift. I never unwrapped.
Yeah, exactly.
Trent,
I love it.
It's so much worse because I needed a new bar of soap, so I carefully unwrapped one end. And I took that bar of soap out and I retaped it.
Yep.
Like, it's March, bro. It was February at the time, but still, you're not doing a Christmas video. What are you going to do? Carefully unwrap each one you need throughout the year and do this bit next year?
Just like you find something of like weight to replace in there. You're like,
why are you Indiana Jonesing this? Just use the soap and forget about the bit. Suddenly, this is Rick and Morty, like that one scene. What, are you doing this for a bit? We're running out of time.
All I'm saying is, if the paper isn't too specific, you could pull it off.
I'm pretty sure it's a Christmas print. Might be like Disney character too. I'm a bad dad, let's face it. Anyway, Trent, before we went off on that tangent, I asked anything new in your world that you wanted to talk about. I know last time you were talking about really wanting to get into as potentially a money-making scene of plastic welding. Have you made any progress on that?
No, I haven't. I have choked all of my spending desires until after I do my taxes next week, and then I will pull the trigger. But one bridge to carefully navigate at a time.
Fair enough, sir. By the way, based on everything I've said about the 3D printing, needing to clean everything else, my wife is starting to think that maybe I have undiagnosed ADHD because I don't seem to be finishing anything, always one project after the other. So now that we've gotten the plastic welding inquiry out of the way, is there anything you wanted to talk about today? Anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, just started season 3 of Devotion Championship Wrestling. If you're using the Fight app, which is available on all of your streaming devices, smart TVs, web browser, etc., that's where we release our episodes every Thursday. And then on Saturday, they come out on YouTube. But season 3 is in full swing. The episode that aired this week features Impact's world champion tag team, good guys, the Good Brothers, and there's a whole lot more coming up. We're like 3 months ahead of what we've taped to what's going out week to week, and I can just say, man, awesome stuff. If you're into wrestling, cool. If not, don't watch it.
if you're gonna keep this up and do you think you guys are gonna keep getting ahead of schedule so that way so much that it's the end of summer and you guys are filming the Christmas acts? Or bad wrestling bad? You're not really going to do it. It's a stupid question. I'm sorry.
I mean, the problem is, so we could already be doing that right now, but we book the live shows as the live show, and they're usually correlating to whatever the season is at the time too. So we'd have to. Yeah, it would take more coordination that I know if everyone is capable of pulling off. But we ostensibly could do that very easily.
Any recommendations in the comic book realm you can make us aware of that may still have some drive-in, some awareness?
Yeah. In fact, if you're not familiar with a kind of a offbeat publisher, Fantagraphics, man, just they deal mostly in graphic novels and collected series of older stuff that are very specific. So whether it be like Carl Barks books from Disney or Johnny Ryan, who is like the indie bad boy of comics, getting banned from Instagram on the reg because of his cartooning. I cannot recommend their stuff enough. If you go to Fantagraphics, I just picked up a collection of the comic strip that what gave us Itchy and Scratchy, Squeak the Mouse. It's an Italian comic. And then also Love and Rockets, Hernandez's collection of all of his wrestling stuff. Anyway, if you're into comics, check out Fantagraphics. By far one of my favorite publishers. If I could, I swear that there's an alternate Trent and an alternate branch that is editing for Fantagraphics, and he's the happiest man in the world.
Well, Trent, and to use the same method you did in the last one, if you're not into reading comics, don't. So
yeah, and if you're not into comics, don't do something else.
Hey, speaking of which, Trent, I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to. I don't know if I'm bringing you some comic book news, but just want to wrap this up, seeing if you're aware of it as well. This week there was an announcement that Kevin Smith is actually launching they're basically doing a comic book imprint in Dark Horse.
Within Dark Horse, yeah. So not unlike how like Robert Kirkman has Skybound within Image, Kevin will now have his imprint within Dark Horse. And Dark Horse, for those of you who don't know, really is like the first indie publisher when it comes to comic books. Started it out in the Pacific Northwest, and like with Dark Horse Presents #1, where we first saw Concrete come out, and the Black Cross. But yeah, I saw the news, dude. This is huge.
And for a long time too, Dark Horse was really doing some interesting stuff. If I'm not mistaken, they were the first ones to secure the licensing both for Alien comics and Predator comics.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
So
yeah, and have held them for a long. They held until Marvel bought it from them or renegotiated. They held the Star Wars line up until 2017 or 2016. Like tons of comics came out under Dark Horse.
I think I have in the garage right now some gold foil embossed for the lettering. Dark Empire comics, which I think it's the Star Wars Dark Empire saga, and it's Dark Horse. So yeah, they've got a long tail in the business, and they're coming. And I think it's called this for them. It's the Secret Stash Press. And the thing that I love about this is that he's going to be playing with characters and stories. Like you'll be able to see the Jones sister, Heather Jones, who was at the end of Clerks, finally with her cousin Alyssa Jones, or her sister Alyssa Jones, from Chasing Amy. So we get to see a lot of these mashups in print that we've never seen before.
Exactly, and the few things that we've been able to get from the Skewniverse in print have been so limited, and they've always had us like that. The small run on Clerks with Omnipress. Like they've always had us wanting more, and hopefully this will be an avenue, and a what a cool way to continue to develop your IP and the stories that you want to tell in the same, essentially kind of the same format. Writing comics is, starting with Will Eisner, was adapted directly from movie making, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're setting up camera shots the whole time. So this is so perfect that Kevin can still tell these stories in a very similar way at so much less cost and less risk.
Yeah, definitely. And in a way, it's almost like we'd get an animated feature too if anybody does the Living Comics thing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, still, I have been draining my iPad battery just reading back issues of stuff in the Marvel Unlimited app.
Oh, best app ever.
It's a dangerous thing. If there's an affiliate link for it, I'll establish it for NetHeads. But in the end, I don't think you're going to thank me. Because you'll be like, where did all my time go? But let me tell you exactly what happens in Amazing Spider-Man number 263, Dude,
I am totally in, like, I made it a few years ago. I was like, okay, I'm going to I'm like, going to start at Fantastic Four #1, and I'm going to go all the way through. And it has been like, it's the same way, like, I think because comics have always been spread out month to month, right? They're like, we now can like binge them. Even like reading trade paperback, you'd have to wait, or you put one on the shelf, and it's a way. Being right in front of you all the time, like you can actually binge comics now, and it is a weird experience.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like even as I mentioned, like one of the first ones I was plowing through was Moon Knight, and like you can literally tell what decade it was written in that you're reading from.
Totally.
As
are we getting the Declan Shavely version right now, or just out of like how the character is treated?
Yeah, it's a wild ride, but if you like us, you'll probably like that as well. So I just want to bring that up again because really it's been a wonderfully nostalgic experience as well because of my weaving in and out of like even just Amazing Spider-Man through the years, and a lot of the things I know just because I've read synopsis, and now you've got them right in front of you. And by the way, too, Trent, I know I never got you to play Fortnite, but still, every single time I've been playing that game recently, well, not every single time, but a lot of the time, I wear still what I find one of the best Spider-Man costumes of all time, which is the Future Foundation Spider-Man costume.
With I've got one up on the wall right there, 3.5-inch figure, and it's like whenever I get a chance to have someone who's drawn Spider-Man, that's the costume I ask them to do a commission in, and they're always like, "Oh, I love that! I wish I could have drawn that one like in the book." It is the best looking Spider-Man costume I think out there.
I always think in some ways the blocking that it has on the sides with the black kind of inspired the Tom Holland tech suit design in some ways because it has a lot of those
Interesting,
angular
yeah.
blocks in it.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. Yeah,
And
just the
and I'm
white
sorry,
and black look so good.
and I'm sorry if I keep bringing this up, but like Spider-Man's costume has always been like a major thing in my life, especially since one of the first comic books I ever bought was Secret Wars #8 with the black symbiote costume. So like I was there for the first time his costume really kind of changed. And then like anytime you get a variant, and with the movies and the video games, it's just one of those iconic costumes that I'm always drawn to. And so, and I don't know what it is about the Future Foundation one other than its simplicity and its crisp lines. What am I describing now?
It's I don't know, like and it's you're right though. It's so simple that it's almost a risk. It's not like as a superhero costume, right? That like, well, it's Spider-Man. Can we just put him in white and black?
And yes,
Yeah,
you can, and
you can.
you should. Now, the only problem I would say now with him utilizing that costume, at least in some modern times, because what I'm referencing is still actually probably 4 or 5 years back, but for a while in the comics anyway, there was also the Anti-Venom, which is, again, it's Venom, but it's the exact inverse. It's all white with a little bit of black because he was Eddie Brock's healing
Eddie
side.
Brock. Yeah. Oh, which was oh man, I actually really like that character too. Like just a Venom whose like main purpose is to take out symbiotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the balance that they need. That's the now we're getting into Star Wars again. But but yeah, there were some good things that came out of the Brand New Day story or Aftermath, and for me that was one of them. But I still think that they were. Why am I going deep diving on Spider-Man now? I'm sorry. I was just suddenly gonna go into like right after that they did this stretch where it was like a comic every 3 weeks, and there were different titles that were also doing that, or it was weekly. I mean, it was just so much Spider-Man, and the first thing that you see collapse under that timeline is the artwork. So some of the artwork in those ones are hard for me to look at.
Isn't that crazy? Like I was like there are some artists who you might even love, but like you put one character in their hands and you're just like, no, what are you doing? Stop.
That is what you're doing is wrong, and you need to go now. Or as I can't remember the name of the character, but the Peter McNichol's character in Ghostbusters 2, and he's just like walking by one person. He goes, "Everything you are doing is bad. I want you to know this." Anyway. Hey guys, thank you very much for dropping in and joining us. As Trent mentioned, please be sure to check out Devotion Wrestling both in the Fight app on Thursdays. Did you say Thursdays? Yep, and Thursdays, and then on the YouTubes every Saturdays. If you're into that kind of thing, if you're not, if you like Trent's voice, that's at least one reason to check it out because he has a voice that is very similar to the announcer. That is weird. Providing color commentary there, Lauren Gardner. Lauren Gardner.
Yeah, Lauren Gardner. Yeah,
see,
good guy.
He's a great guy. So go ahead and do that. Everything NetHeads you can find either at netheadsonair.com or, it's that brand across Facebook and everything else. So please check us out there. I'm that Will Wilkins on all socials. So please, if you can, drop a like and a follow in one of those realms as well. I'd appreciate it. And until next time, I guess, Trent, I'm Will.
I'm Trent.
And we will be back
soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker signing off.
I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it.
NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a Smodco Internet production. Sip. Only at smodcast.com. Okay, wait a minute, dude. I gotta ask. Do you feel obligated to be doing some type of dance or shimmy now because you know I'm gonna cut to you, or do you still just do it because you feel it in your heart?
I love that theme so much that I have the audio file that you sent me years ago on my phone as I cycle through my alarms because otherwise I'll get so used to it I'll sleep through it. But through all my dogs, they get tuned to whatever song I've used. So yeah, he's got his ears perked up because he's like, oh, that's the wake up alarm. We need to go outside now, right? Because he just heard it. So I love that song, dude.
Okay, fair enough. I'm glad to hear that it's good and authentic, and that put with my voice on it. You weren't like, no.